I'm Sam Kelly. I'm here in Cortland, New York. I'm a professor at SUNY Cortland. That's the State University of New York College at Cortland. I'm in the communications department. I also had the internship program there. I teach films with Spike Lee. I'm a playwright, and my works have been produced pretty much from throughout the country, actually. I also co-founded the SUNY Cortland Gospel Choir, and we just returned from Germany in April and toured England in '06, and then actually '07, and then we toured Toronto and Niagara Falls in '08.
So, where are you from?
I originally I grew up in Marble, Arkansas. That's Phillips County, Arkansas, and that's in the heart of the Mississippi Delta. And I did my high school years there. I also went to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, which is a historically black college, and from there to University of Arkansas at Fayetteville, and from there I started teaching college. I also have a PhD from the University of Michigan with a concentration in radio, TV, and film, and an MFA in playwriting from the Yale School of Drama.
You mentioned when you were younger, you grew up on a farm.
Yep, I did grow up on a farm in Arkansas.
Can you tell me just a bit more about
Sure,
that?
we raised primarily in the Mississippi Delta. The number one crop was cotton, and you also had soybeans. But my parents were very conscientious of the needs to grow healthy food, and so watermelon and vegetables and garden, things like that were all a part of growing up. And I think that that's still important to me. I love fresh produce and market. Saturday morning markets are still very much a part of what I enjoy doing. I can actually pluck a perfect watermelon for you.
But what exactly does that mean?
Well, you have to, growing them, we actually grew them with actually organic materials, which was not very popular in the 1960s, but my father was very, very much into that because he felt there was a much better product. But you can thump a watermelon and tell from the sound of the melon whether or not it's going to be very good. And it should have a kind of hollow sound. When you put the knife in it, in its best state, it should probably crack all the way through.
Since you know so much about watermelons and the process of growing good quality watermelons, why are you not a farmer? Why did you go on to,
Well, we didn't own the farm. We rented the farm. And for us growing up in the Mississippi Delta, farming was a very hard life. It was a labor, it was labor, hard labor. And my parents didn't own the farm. And because the survival in those days pretty much depended upon how large your crops were, primarily cotton and soybeans. And that's still very much a part of the American, I think, farmers area, even though many people now grow their own products and things like that. In that mix is a kind of idealistic notion about farming, but if you had the real world of getting up at 3 in the morning, and working to get these products out just for your own needs or to the farm, and they didn't have the modern technology that they have now, which is much easier on people to grow for growing products. And so, for us, we didn't own the farm. I have 9 siblings, and they're all professionals except one in some capacity. Now it's somewhere between New York and California.
are you concerned with environmental or climate change?
The environmental climate change is important I think, for everyone. I'm actually, even though it's important for us, I think sometimes that we get caught up in somehow this notion that we are going to solve the problem of climate change. The complication for me there is, to what extent is that really within the control of humankind to control it? I think that as individuals, what we can do most importantly is look around us and see how we can conserve first and foremost. When I tell people I have no trouble buying clothes at secondhand stores and donating clothes and things like that. I donated my Toyota Corolla when I was about to get another car to the Goodwill mission. I do the same thing with clothes. I also try and preserve just in terms of heating. When I'm not here in the space, my heat is turned down. There are many, many ways in which we actually can conserve energy, but I think that one of the things that we need to look at when we're talking about conserving energy is how much we consume. Most of us eat, for example, far more than we need to survive on or to live on until we become unhealthy in that area. And for me, because of those kinds of issues, I'm constantly looking for ways to improve. And to me, these are all tied up, whether or not it's the environment or health, taking care of ourselves. We often separate them. I can remember once this actor was telling me how important the water was, and he was in the business of installing these water, I've forgotten, like safe water kind of products into the homes. But he would step outside the door and light up a cigarette. So I'm always interested in the contradiction that the contradictions that are going on when we think about the environment. Literally, I think in some ways we started destroying the environment a long time ago. When I was in Germany with the gospel choir, we stayed in a monastery and in the Netherlands across from the German border in Aachen. And to my surprise, the first building was built in 1185, I believe by a monk who felt that the world had become too materialistic. So if the world was too materialistic in 1185, what do you think he would feel like if he arrived today? He'd probably turn around and go back where he came from.